policies and how they're impacting the country, and here's what he told me. Let me go back to the one question, because you've been there. The policies, if Joe Biden wanted to save his presidency, I could tell him how to do it. He would bring back the Trump policies on the border. He never would have abandoned Americans. He could go rescue the Americans he left behind enemy lines. He can go back to energy independence. He can go back to lower taxes and less regulation, which was your economic policies. So he could save his presidency, but I don't see that happening because this party is radicalized more than at any other point in my working lifetime, which is now 33 years on radio and now in my 26th year at Fox.
If he did nothing when he came in, you'd have the strongest borders in history, and people would be able to come in, but they were coming in legally. You know the other thing nobody talks about? You do. Drugs. The drugs are pouring in now at a record rate. I had them at the lowest level they've been in 17 years. The drugs are pouring through our southern border at a level like we've never seen before. All he had to do is come in and do nothing. We had remain in Mexico, and I worked that out with the Mexican government, or I was going to tariff their cars. And I really like the president of Mexico. He and I had a great relationship, and we worked out. They gave us 28,000 soldiers at no cost on our border while we were building the wall. Remember, most of the wall is built. It could be finished in 3 or 4 weeks. Right now, that steel was put in an area, and it's just sitting there rotting on the ground. It's such a shame.
It
was so impactful.
So the policies would stay the same. Let me ask you a question. With how the media treated you, again, I go back to what would you do differently? Obviously, the policies would remain the same. Is there any one big thing that you say, you know what, I'm not going to do this or that?
Well, you know, until I ran for politics, I got the best media. I really did. The media treated me good. I understood that they had some difficulties in life, and they were not so straight, but they treated me very well. I guess that's one of the reasons I became president, when you think about it. But I would devote maybe more time to it, but I think to a large extent, you know, I oftentimes experimented. I'd have some people in, I'd give them absolutely perfect answer, I'd give them the time, I'd give them everything, and they'd still write a bad story, because that's their genetic makeup. But I think what I would just do is more of the same. I was making the greatest trade deals ever. And, you know, our environment was being protected. Sean, nobody talks about it. We had the best numbers we've ever had last year in terms of clean air and clean water, meaning ever in the last 40 years. I assume before that there weren't so many people, so I guess we had good numbers, right? But we had the best numbers we've ever had.
Am I hearing you right in that it sounds like you would ignore the media more, focus more on the agenda? The agenda obviously works. Let me ask you this, because there is a factor.
Well, I don't think, Sean, if I might, I don't think that I really spent a lot of time in the media. I spent a lot of time on fake investigations.
Well, that's what I want to ask you.
I was being investigated from the day I came down the escalator. And I have to devote time to that. We have one right now going on the Capitol. We have local prosecutors all over the country. If I fly over a state, I end up getting investigated. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, because the local prosecutors work with the federal government.
Let me go back to
radical left and very dangerous Democrats.
So, and this for me is a little personal, because we spent a lot of time making sure we got the right reporting. And I had an ensemble cast. You mentioned some of them: John Solomon, Sarah Carter, Greg Jarrett. I can't mention everybody, but there were a lot of people. Catherine Herridge at the time. And everything that we reported, we got right. Only now, all these years later, this consumed over 3 years of your presidency. And now we know for a fact what we discovered very early on, and that is that the Steele dossier that Hillary Clinton paid for, and with the DNC, bought and paid for, was full of lies. It consumed 3 years of your presidency, and it was all based on a lie. Now, if we live in a country where journalism is that dead, and that even knowing the truth today, only one news organization stepped up halfway to acknowledge the false reporting, how do you overcome that when they're so abusively corrupt and biased?
They are corrupt. They are, and I say it, and I don't want to say it much, but I say it, and I hope in the future I won't have to. They are the enemy of the people. And we could have a country that would be able to heal and get together, except the media foments it. They're so corrupt. And, you know, I came up with the term fake news a long time ago. I don't know if I'll get credit for that, but that's okay. The fake news, but it's really the corrupt news. It's corrupt what they do. And they're so important, it could be, well, important. They used to have a high approval rating. Now they have the lowest. I think they have a lower rating than Mitch McConnell, which is pretty good. I tell you what, they have a rating that now is people have gotten wise to it. They've just gotten wise to it. And it's a shame.
Up next, I'll ask Donald Trump about Kyle Rittenhouse's not guilty verdict as we continue. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here.